Does your webinar platform have what it takes to truly succeed? In this video, I'm going to show you how applying the 5 key pillars of webinar success to your strategy is a step you can't afford to ignore. In fact, we've modeled our webinar software after those 5 pillars to ensure your success. Welcome to Engage Webinars, your opportunity to stop presenting and start engaging. Before we reveal those 5 pillars, let me quickly introduce ourselves. We've been a leading provider of enterprise webinar technology for over a decade and have been featured as thought leaders in the world's top business publications. In that time, we have trumpeted the importance of engagement. These messages resonated with customers and prospects in the greater webinar community. But we saw a problem. Webinar producers only had 2 options: meeting tools that pose as webinar platforms with a few additional features and limited engagement options, and expensive enterprise webinar platforms that offer all the features you need to succeed. With the price differential between the two being so great, most webinar producers made their decisions strictly on budget and not on which platform was best for them. Well, we just changed that. The Engage Webinar platform is built on industry-leading webcasting technology, but it's designed to fit the budget of any company or any webinar program. All right, so now let's review those 5 pillars of webinar success. So what are we talking about? The first pillar of webinar success is branding. In many budget tools, you're constantly competing with the webinar platform's logo and brand plastered over everything. Here at Engage, we always put your brand forward, not ours. We allow you to customize every aspect of your webinar event, from the registration page to the emails, to the webinar console, where you're able to put your brand forward, the brand of your program, and even define which features are included in the layout of your webinar event. Pillar number 2 is mobile compatibility and convenience. Did you know that 74% of webinars have mobile attendees, and 100% of meeting tools have an app for that? But downloading or needing to update an app can be a major obstacle for attendance. With the Engage Webinar platform, there are no downloads, plugins, or apps required. Your viewers can access your event on any device at any time with no delay. They can literally click on a link in your email and within seconds be inside your webinar. Pillar number 3 is so important that we named ourselves after it. Pillar 3 is all about engagement, your ultimate key to webinar success. The truth is, most webinars just aren't that engaging. With only 11% of webinar attendees asking questions, if you only put out a Q&A box or a chat window, how do you create engagement? Well, with the Engage Webinar platform, we believe choice helps with engagement. We provide you over 15 different engagement opportunities. Let's start with feedback. You can add a Q&A box, poll your audience throughout the event, allow for attendees to chat with you and one another, and survey your attendees throughout the event or upon exit. We allow you to drive your viewers to the next stage in the buyer's journey with custom call to actions. Open up a frame to a website like maybe a free trial, or allow them to download your thought leadership in the handout section. We even allow you to extend the reach of your webinar with social sharing, the availability to invite a colleague, or to engage in social media during the event. And as we mentioned before, with so many mobile attendees, even though there are no apps or downloads, everyone on a mobile device is able to interact with all of those different engagement opportunities throughout your webinar, immediately after clicking on a link. Pretty cool, huh? And all of this engagement creates data. In pillar number 4, we leverage engagement data with advanced webinar attendee reporting and analytics. The problem is that most people think they have adequate reporting, but they actually don't. Let me explain. If you Google webinar statistics, you'll see a number of stats just like the one on the screen here, but they're all very different. One of the reasons for that is that not every webinar reporting mechanism is built the same. Engage analytics go way beyond who showed up. We track who registered and then who arrived, both live and on demand. We allow you to leverage cross-webinar reporting to see how well your campaigns are performing and if individuals have engaged with more than one webinar you put on. Most importantly, we allow you to track all the engagement that the user does while on your webinar. This is very important. Let's take a look at 2 webinar viewers. Webinar viewer A watches for 45 minutes and B, 35 minutes. So who's the better lead? For that, you need to dive into the engagement analytics and see that webinar viewer B downloaded more resources, responded to more polls, and asked more questions. The deeper we go into engagement analytics, we see that viewer B clicked on calls to action, came back and viewed on demand, and has viewed 3 other webinars you've produced in the past 90 days. This is a sales-ready lead. Speaking of on demand, our last pillar, number 5, is all about the power of on-demand video. If you watch the trends in webinar audience preferences, you'll know that live is still where we get most of our audience. But there are 36% of B2B webinar viewers who prefer to view on demand. And you might say, how long do these people stay on and watch the archive? Well, this is a stat that's growing every year. We started tracking it in 2015, and in 2019, the average view time for an on-demand webinar is 44 minutes. That's why with Engage Webinars, every interactive option that's available live is available on demand. And of course, we are tracking all of that to ensure that your on-demand webinar is just as valuable to you as your live webinar. Are you ready to leverage the 5 pillars of webinar success built into the Engage Webinar platform? Click the button below for your 2-week free trial, or click the link on this video to experience the Engage platform right now and watch an on-demand webinar on how to drive more webinar engagement with live examples of all of our engagement features with our president, Matthew Lay.